Have you ever cared so deeply about somebody that you thought, no way I'd ever reject them, never leave them behind? But then, one day, they say something so wackadoodle, so off the wall, you can't believe it came out of their mouth. And you're like, I can't be around this person. They're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But what if what you thought they were saying really did sound Nutter Butters? And you'd be absolutely right, if that's what they actually meant. But what if it wasn't? What if they just didn't know how to express it in a way you could receive? And what they were trying to say was something you might have agreed with if you'd only stuck around long enough to see it from their perspective. That's sort of how I see scripture sometimes. Sometimes I'll read a verse and think, what in the holy forking shirt balls is this? It feels off, cruel, like surely that's not from an Elohim of love. But then later, maybe years later, I'll circle back to that same passage and realize it wasn't the scripture that was wackadoodle, it was my lens. I wasn't ready. I hadn't lived enough, I hadn't suffered enough, or maybe it's that I've not been desufferfied enough. I didn't yet know how paradoxical Elohim could be, how wild and weird his ways can seem, how his thoughts are so much higher than mine. It's kind of like quantum mechanics. The deeper you study the fundamentals of reality, you get into quantum mechanics joined with general relativity, and the weirder it gets. But that doesn't make it wrong, just beyond, higher than my thoughts. So when I return with softer eyes, I start to see the thread, love, compassion, justice. Not the justice that punishes, or at least not the way our traumatized, broken hearts interpret punishment, but a justice that restores, that lifts, that liberates for all of humanity. And I wonder, maybe that's not just true of Scripture. Maybe that's true of society also, of people, of our so-called enemies, of our neighbors who are also our enemies. Maybe if we really took the time to just listen to what they're trying to say beneath the fear, beneath the broken language and sharp edges, we'd find they're not so different, that they're not evil, that they're just like us, that they're trying, that they're worthy of love just as much as we are, and maybe just as much as we aren't, because love is just so higher, just so beyond.